What's up, YouTube? Today I want to talk about a tough topic that I struggle with a lot and honestly want to get your guys' feedback. Let me know how you deal with this as well. Forgiveness. Letting go and forgiving. I'm very open-minded as long as the truth is expressed clearly. I can take the truth no matter how difficult it is. I honestly prefer the truth because hard times are going to happen, hard situations are going to happen. We can work through those. But what I struggle or can't work through is the idea of someone being fraudulent, fake, lying, pretending for a very long time. How do you work past that? What frustrates me about having issues between people who you're really close with is when they struggle to just be transparent. Usually it's because some sort of personal reason that they don't want to tell you. And that is another thing that's hard for me to forgive and let go when I emphasize over and over again, all you gotta do is tell me. The word forgiveness is way bigger than just saying it's okay. We all know about trauma. We know that our body and our brain stores trauma. I've had a lot of experience realizing that. I realized where I was still storing trauma, even though I thought I forgave it. Forgiveness is truly the ability of being able to accept something, not only mentally in that moment, but also spiritually come to an acceptance inside all around, address what it is, realize how you felt, how the other person felt, and being able to say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna let this go. It's no longer the situation. We're gonna move past this. I was gonna say move past it like nothing happened, but that's always the struggle for me when it's something too serious. I can be very guarded in times, and I definitely have trust issues just from experience. I can hold grudges fairly easy. I can do that by choice, but I can also do that subconsciously, hold grudges. And that's something I need to work on too. So I ask you guys, how do you let go of a grudge? We're kind of sparking some conversation here. I want to get some interaction. How do you let go of a grudge? My struggles with forgiveness, I feel like some people abuse forgiveness. The people who are wrong in your life, who are taking advantage of you, they will continue to ask for your forgiveness, beg for your forgiveness, put on a front until you forgive, all for it to go back to the same shortly after a while. I get tired of forgiving because I get the feeling like they abusing it, or they just okaying what they're doing for me to continue to be damaged. So I guess this is when we talk about standards and wants and desires. Check out my Stokely standards on my shorts. I will continue my standards because they're so important to decide what you will continue to deal with. That brings me back to, you're not forgiving for them to get over on you. You're not forgiving for them to continue to abuse it. You're forgiving for you to let go of the anger and the stress and the pain. Then when you can forgive, it gives you a little more clear head to see, is this worth continuing to forgive? Are they abusing my forgiveness? Are they actually changing their actions? Forgiveness can also be so hard for me because I'm so out the way. As a stranger, you got to touch me to really irritate me or upset me or make me want to react, or my life's got to be on the line. Everything doesn't deserve a reaction. I don't engage in conversations that I don't care about or I don't have any knowledge about. So when you're close to me is really the only time you're able to affect my mood, which again is something I need to work on. So add that together, I get to feeling like I'm so out the way and you disrupted my peace. So I struggle to forgive at times when I feel like you disrupted my peace if I didn't do anything to cause an issue. This then forces me to respond in my groundhog ways. I've talked about many times on my page and probably will continue to how I need my time and space to just recollect and gather myself, and how I feel most focused when I'm just locked in, and how I struggle to balance some relationships because I'll be so locked in on my goals. As I'm talking through this video, I'm pointing out more and more ways that I need to improve, and I think that can be applied to this whole topic of forgiveness as well, which is, what did this situation or person do that triggered you? What are those triggers inside that you haven't been able to work on, that you struggle to forgive time and time again? A big one for me that just came to the top of the dome. I have a trauma of being friends with people for 10 plus years and then they turn their back on me or they switch up. This is a trauma that I've put in my head that I forced on myself because it has happened. I've had about 3 or 4 friendships where I know them for 10 plus years, and then some bullshit that I felt could have been fixed that I continued to act on never got fixed. And so then it traumatized me on, okay, well, once I hit the spot of 10 years with someone, if they do me wrong, I'm not going to forgive them because I'm 10 years in. How can they change? That's toxic of me. That's wrong of me. That's where this whole idea of forgiveness needs to be worked on by myself, because the truth is, I think we all need to hear this one. People change. People grow. It's a part of life. That's really the only way we all stay happy, is by continuous growth. Life is full of ups and downs. It's a journey. So we have to accept, Trey, you have to accept, people will change, but it's not necessarily change on you. You have to talk to them and be there with them through their change and have that open relationship. And sometimes even drop your pride, Trey, or whoever else needs to hear this. Sometimes drop your pride and say, maybe it wasn't about me. Let me just reach out to them with my feelings and say, look, man, this is my intentions. This is what I wanted. What's going on? What's up? We good? Instead of just assuming and shutting down. We all must accept that people will change, but how can we change and grow together? I'm learning to accept people changing. I'm learning to accept dropping my pride to talk about the change. If we can't find a healthy way to grow together and bounce ideas off each other and still just be adults to communicate what's going on in the friendship or the relationship or the family, if we can't be mature enough to do that together, then that's when it's worth questioning. Is it worth forgiving? Is it worth pursuing? Did you just simply outgrow that person? That's another hard thing too to realize, is that sometimes it's not about your anger. It's not about your ego. It's not about how you felt or what this person did. Sometimes it's more so just about coming to the hard realization after some time that you guys probably just outgrew each other. What they decide to do, you don't support no more, and they don't support what you decide to do. Shout out to Mel Robbins and the whole let them theory. I've watched a lot of her podcasts, and she's discussed how hobbies, circumstances, time, environments all affect our ability to grow with a person. So, sometimes it's just as simple as we're not on the same page, and that is okay. It's going to attack your pride. It's going to attack your ego. It's going to attack your standards. I'm so principle driven that if I feel like you did the same principle more than, say, 5 times in a row, that you're disrespecting me, that you're disrespecting the principle, that you have no care in it. After years, finally maturing enough to realize maybe that's not the case neither, and I was perceiving things wrong. When forgiving, we have to think of perception. The biggest form of miscommunication is, I said something with this intention, but you took it the other way, which then causes back and forth. And you got to gain that understanding to really be able to forgive. You have to gain that understanding on where each person was in that moment, and both sides have to be clear with that understanding and comfortable with that understanding to move past it, I feel like. Again, as I'm talking, I'm feeling like I'm kind of answering some of my questions. Biggest negative of forgiving others nonstop with no remorse to yourself is you damage yourself, you hurt yourself. And that's where I struggle to forgive. How much am I going to forgive a person before they damage who I am or they disrespect everything that I bring to the table? How long am I going to forgive someone before they continue to abuse it over and over and over and over again? My question that I ask y'all, how do you forgive? How do you give people grace? How do you give people a chance with more time than once, because it may take some time, without losing yourself in the process, without damaging yourself in the process, without changing your standards and jeopardizing your standards in the process? It's really hard for me, and I feel like we all can relate on this. That's why I wanted to share this topic. How do you do it? How do you put yourself first, and your needs and your wants and your happiness and your standards first? Hear out another person's point of view with all of that, and let it go. Especially if the person who hurt you is struggling to deal with it, you're going to have to forgive more than once. So this is why I try to take advice from older people, but relationship advice, we can't really, how do you give that? I don't feel like we should give relationship advice, because religion and your childhood and your area, and so much goes into play with that. It's just, it seems like it comes down to doing the best for you. But that brings me back to the question again. How can I do best for me without being disrespectful and hurting the relationships around me? It's one of my biggest struggles, because like I said, I'll go in a hole. I won't talk to nobody for weeks. So then when I get out my hole and I'm talking and I'm trying to interact and I'm trying to do this, and then that energy's not matched, I get frustrated. Like, all right, then screw you. I'm gonna go back in my hole and stay focused. But if you do that, you're still isolating yourself. So if you haven't read the book, Let Them by Mel Robbins, I have literally read 4 chapters in 4 days, and I'm obsessed with it. Because from the very first chapter, she spoke to me and called me out on some of my issues. We gotta let them, but we also gotta let me do what's I want to do, what's best for me. She touches on the idea of don't just go about it as let them, because when you just let them, that's when you just ignore them and you isolate yourself. Let them and let me do different. Accept them for who they are, but what do you want out of this situation or this issue? So I talked about how you have to really dig deep in all areas of your body, soul, mind to really forgive somebody or something. And then I just saw this online. It says there are 4 types of forgiveness: supernatural, religious, social, and self-forgiveness. So I say supernatural and religious would have to do something with the spirit and what you feel inside. Social is dealing with someone else. And of course, self-forgiveness is not being hard on yourself. I'm blessed that I don't. Psych! Actually, I do struggle with self-forgiveness. I just saw that live. I do struggle with self-forgiveness. I'm very big on, all right, Trey, you fucking up. I got to do different. I can do that. Where I struggle with self-forgiveness is, say it's a super busy day and I got all this lined up that I want to do, and I missed 1 or 2 activities. Now I'm mad at myself, feel like I wasted time, and I just get to beating myself up about, oh, I should have did this, I should have did that, and stressing about time. That's one of my biggest struggles with self-forgiveness, is I get to stressing about what I'm doing right or wrong. Depending on how I feel about that depends on how well I forgive myself. Of course, there's a ton of mental benefits to forgiveness. You reduce some stress, you improve your self-esteem, you improve your relationships, you reduce negative emotions, you grow personally. When you can forgive, there's a lot of physical benefits, which I think we all kind of look over. You relieve a lot of that tension and that trauma in your body, and then you lower your blood pressure. Obviously, when you learn to forgive, you can learn to resolve conflict better. Learning to forgive will keep you out the past and more in the present. Lastly, I would like to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on forgiveness? What are some of your struggles with forgiveness? Where are you great at forgiving? What are your ways of practicing forgiveness? What are your ways of really leaving in the past and moving on? What ways do you have to forgive yourself? What ways do you practice forgiving trauma? Let's interact. Comment below. Send a little voice note if you can. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hearing me out. I hope I was able to relate. I hope I was able to speak to you and spark something new for you. Be blessed. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. Forgive and let go. You got it.